Whether it be politics, health, economics, social events, and the gospel, the prophetic voice in this age speaks this wise. On 13th September 2019, during Life Fellowship Kampala, the prophet of God, Prophet Xavier Kale Alpha, prophesies a killer disease that the devil planned to release. In his words, he prophesies saying,
"Pray for Uganda. Pray for Uganda. People, if you understand the spirit world and how it works, you realize that it's a realm of necessity. It's a realm of burden. Why? Because they are responsible for what appears. And now God has given the church that place. There's a killer disease that the devil is planning to release in this nation. And he seeks that it claims the lives of thousands.
More than 3 months later, the prophecy comes to pass. On 31st December 2019, the World Health Organization was informed of cases of pneumonia of an unknown cause in Wuhan City in China. Later, a coronavirus, now known as COVID-19, was identified on 7th January 2020.
The invisible killer. No one could see it. No one saw it coming the way it did.
Hundreds dead, thousands infected across multiple continents, millions quarantined with whole cities in lockdown.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Starting from China, it transitioned into a pandemic spreading across the whole world, even reaching Uganda and East Africa as a whole.
The novel coronavirus outbreak is a public health emergency of international concern.
A virus going global, from 27 in China last December to a staggering 60 million plus cases and almost 1.5 million deaths a year later.
On 22nd March 2020, Uganda confirmed its first case of COVID-19. The confirmed case was a 36-year-old male who had traveled to Dubai, and on returning to Uganda at around 2 a.m. aboard Ethiopian Airlines, his temperature was said to be 38.7 degrees Celsius, which prompted the health team at the
And I pray that it does not come with the political chaos that is going on, because these things move together. Because you're having kidnaps all over, you're having this and this all over.
As prophesied, chaos arises as Uganda's political atmosphere gets heated. Protests start to happen following the arrest of opposition presidential candidate Bobi Wine. Many get injured while others die.
Burning anger in Uganda's capital Kampala as word spread of the arrest of Bobi Wine. But it's this moment that brought them onto the streets. About 100 kilometers away, the pop singer turned politician Bobi Wine was campaigning in Luka when he was arrested and bundled into a police van. Security forces cited repeated violations of COVID-19 restrictions.
The situation degenerated with robberies, lootings, and in some cases, police firing live bullets.
Following the political chaos and protests, a number of people start to disappear from the public. These were abducted in unknown vehicles, increasing the number of missing persons as the days went by. The families of those kidnapped say the abductees were beaten before being forced into vehicles and driven away.
My nephew, Bakenya Victor Balikudembe, has been missing for the last 2 months. And Madam Speaker, even in my constituency, a number of people have their young people disappearing each and every other day.
General Dongo confirmed to Parliament that some security operatives have been using Toyota Hiace vehicles, commonly known as drones with concealed number plates, to effect the arrests.
It is true, many of the incidents I have quoted today were perpetrated by these vehicles. We've taken interest, we have arrested some of them, some of the individuals in these vehicles, together with their arms, have been arrested and they are in our custody.
The list of missing people continued to increase as tales of abductions were spoken of across the country.
Most of the arrests have been carried out in Buganda region, in Masaka, Kampala, Mukono and Rakai districts.
There are others who are arrested and even taken to court martial, this one here and there. I will ask the DPP to review each case and recommend soft landing for many of them, because many of them are really misled.
Because at the end of the day, the president has to be blamed. The devil is looking for every reason to make the old man leave the seat. Why? Because he didn't want Buddhism to give the believer the freedom to worship. Uganda has lived in peace. Anything that tells of peace is of God. That is God's language.
And this peace is not something to play around with. One of the children wrote and said, peace is like fresh, is like oxygen. When you are breathing normally, you think air is of no value. It is when you lack oxygen that you discover that, oh, I wish I had known the importance of oxygen. And by that time, it's too late.
What is happening now? The realm of the spirits, the dark side of it, wants to give them a reason to vindicate a failed regime. But that's not how we see it. As the prophets of God, we are not seeing that.
There's no doubt that the NRM, our political group, and its precursors, the precursors are the groups which we formed before, rescued Uganda from total collapse. That one is a fact. Statistically provable.
We thank God for the lives of those that were preserved amidst the COVID-19 outbreak. God is concerned about our nation and the leaders therein.